Selene Gallio is a centuries-old mutant psychic vampire and a major antagonist in Marvel Comics. Also known as the Black Queen, she is a longtime member of the Hellfire Club and as such has often tormented the X-Men and their allies. She also fought Captain America and the Daughters of Liberty. She's immortal, she possesses great magical powers, she can just manipulate shadows and darkness, she can drain the life force from any living being that comes into contact with her skin, she's pretty cool. After a failed attempt to sacrifice the population of ancient Rome to make herself a god, she founded Nova Roma, an isolated colony modeled after ancient Rome that survived into modern times in Brazil's Amazon rainforest. She maintains her immortality with her mutant power because she likes to absorb the essence or life force of others. She can also absorb memories and take control of people this way. So by drawing on the power she's absorbed, she can grant herself superhuman abilities, enhanced strength, speed, whatever she needs. Oh, did I mention she's a telepath with very, very good telekinetic abilities? Combine all of this, and you've also got her lovely extended lifespan. She's become one of the most skilled magic users in the world, and I think at one point she was even considered a potential candidate to replace Doctor Strange as Sorcerer Supreme. So that's how you get a great antagonist in the New Mutant series, and also the whole Necrotia story arc. Soft Serve's sole mutant ability is to defecate ice cream, controlling the flavor she creates and how much she serves, making her a mutant with pretty much zero inherent fighting capabilities. She was first introduced in a background moment in Way of X, issue number 2, and artist Bob Quinn later elaborated on her powers with a detailed sketch on Twitter. So originally he's yeah, she's got different plumbing from baseline humans, but later amended that her body is a portal to the ice cream dimension, and the phrase defecating is more about the unfortunate placement of the portal's exit than her actual biological process. Soft Serve, by the way, is not the only mutant with ice cream related powers. You've also got to consider Ice Cream, who can turn himself into any flavor of ice cream. Yeah, ice cream. Alright. According to Bob Quinn, there's no relation between the two, but Soft Serve is a big fan of ice cream. Just don't confuse the two, everybody, because it's easy to do. Sketch has the mutant ability to reshape reality by altering it upon her sketch pad. She can only affect non-organic matter with this power, fashioning metallic tendrils, metallic sheaths, and obviously she needs to be able to see an object in order to affect it. Thankfully for us, she carries around bags full of sketch pads and pencils at all times. In terms of what history we know about her, I think she was held prisoner in Russia by mutant traders until being saved by the X-Men. Oh, and before his abrupt departure from writing Uncanny X-Men, Chris Claremont did intend for Sketch to join the X-Men, but now I got nothing for her. Having the physical attributes of a fish, Sammy Perret, or Squid Boy, was the perfect target for bullies. Now intent on stopping the harassment, Sammy plotted to kill his tormentors, but thankfully a meeting with Professor X saved Sammy from the potentially deadly showdown, and he was yeah, I'll enroll at the Xavier Institute instead. Well, en route to the Institute with Professor Xavier, he was hey, I can't contact anybody. So they took a detour over to Ireland to help with a mission, and upon investigating, we found ourselves assisting Juggernaut. And then Juggernaut and Sammy became good friends after Sammy saved Juggernaut's life. Kane became a surrogate father to Sammy, but then when Sammy's mother found out about his relationship with Kane, she called Alpha Flight to bring Sammy back home to her. And there, Sammy was going through some harm. Really not great. But then Juggernaut was hey, I'm gonna come visit. And well, Juggernaut took care of the attacker and was subsequently arrested by Alpha Flight, the big superheroes in Canada. Oh, did I mention Sammy's from Vancouver? After that, Sammy's mother left the bad guy, Sammy returned to the Institute, and good time. Later on, Juggernaut infiltrated Brotherhood of Evil, working as a double agent, but Sammy stumbled upon that group meeting and he's oh my gosh, Juggernaut's betraying the X-Men. So he lashed out at him, causing the group's leader, Black Tom Cassidy, to sadly kill the young mutant, pulping him. Eventually, Sammy became a candidate for resurrection by the Five, and when Kane heard that Sammy's resurrection was coming on the queue, he made it a point to be there to welcome him, and to apologize for how things kinda went previously. Mutant power should never really be underestimated, and I'm here to tell you about some folks to watch out for. Well, the very powerful X-Men member Pixie is a beloved queer and magical mutant for many Marvel fans, such as myself, and today it is my personal goal to tell you why you should never really overlook her. Megan Gwynn, also known as Pixie, is one of the most interesting X-Men. She is half mutant but also half fairy. Her dual heritage gives her pixie-like eyes and colorful insect-type wings, and that gives her the ability to fly. She can also create this really cool substance that's pixie dust, and it can cause hallucinations. She also performs magic, particularly teleportation spells. Her magical aptitude also means she's really good in a fight. Her mystical talents essentially allow her to do anything, and when you combine that with this this unique weapon that can cut magic itself and powers that act as a secret weapon against other mystics, I think I'm staring at a whole list of reasons why she shouldn't be doubted. I think her personality might secretly be her best tool. Her own experiences make her empathetic with the pain of others, but her bright and optimistic personality helps to draw people out of their personal darkness. Marro, who is only otherwise known as Sarah, is a mutant who has spent a long time with the Morlocks. Her mutant power is primarily the ability to willingly grow her bones out of her body, turning them into armor, weapons, and even projectiles. This ability is accompanied by hyperdense bones, a healing factor, and even dual hearts. Also, being raised by Mikhail Rasputin kind of turned her into a violent and vicious warrior. She was literally trained to be an efficient killer, and she knows how to use her bone-based powers for maximum damage, efficiency, and cruelty. She could be a dangerous villain. Look, upon first review, some folks think her power's a little lame, because basically, yeah, okay, great, she can grow her skeleton super fast. Like, yeah, she can take a bone spur out of her leg, throw it at people, make some little knuckle guards, but like, when you really think about it, her power is so hardcore. That has got to hurt. And considering that at first she can't really control the growth of her bones until Weapon X gets involved, she probably had a really rough time growing up as a mutant. Sure, she's got a bit of a convoluted past, being raised by the Morlocks, but like eventually she joins the X-Men, but she's not really a team player, and she's not really great at playing well with others. But like, I love her fiery personality, I love her mutation, and once again, pink hair, totally a bonus. So Nocturne is this alternate reality character, and that's not going to stop her from qualifying for today's list. Why? Well, because I like her. And she's blue. Also, she just happens to be the daughter of Nightcrawler and the Scarlet. So she has aspects of both of her parents' powers. Otherwise known as Talia Wagner, she has heightened agility, reflexes, night vision, suction, but those are the more like basic abilities compared to her other powers. She's got telepathy, psychic shields, even the power to possess people for up to 12 hours. Where her parents' powers are involved, well, that's her ability to create brimstone hex bolts, which are balls of energy that she pulls from the brimstone dimension. You know, the dimension where Nightcrawler teleports. There's a bit of a tangled storyline with Penance, but the basics are this. Penance is actually a hollow body with sisters trapped inside. She's made of red stone and is incredibly powerful. She can't really understand language, can barely speak, and she's the result of some crazy dimensional mutation, and has housed a rotation of 3 sisters, sometimes 1, sometimes 2, depending on when you're reading. And here's a wonderful example of why Penance is someone that we should definitely not underestimate. So when she first appears at the Academy, they put her into the infirmary, obviously. And when she tries to escape, she rips the entire place apart. So like, you go girl. Look, big supporter of women's rights and wrongs over here. So Cannonball can go really fast. Like, jet engine plane fast, with a force field. And yeah, well that's cool. Awesome powers are not the main qualifier towards being ranked today. He's a very well written and unique character, offering a lot of like fun stuff to the team. Hailing from a rural town in the south, he's a bit of a redneck, but he comes from a huge family where a lot of his siblings are also mutants. He's incredibly polite, salt of the earth, a giant science fiction fan. He has the sort of unique characteristics and easy charm that allow him to fit in with the team really well. And he just adds so much fun to any situation he's added to. Lifeguard's mutation is pretty interesting, and one that didn't really manifest itself until later in her life. Basically, she can adapt to survive in any situation, developing many different mutations and powers in quick succession in order to stay alive. So like, if you chuck her into water, she's gonna grow gills. Or if there's explosives flying at her teammates, she can generate a force field. Exactly the type of gal I want around in any life or death situation. Sure, this is a power that could get kind of convoluted pretty easily, and could induce boredom if displayed too much. But if handled correctly with the right storyline, come on, give me more of Lifeguard. So Iceman may only play second fiddle in the X-Men movies, but his ability to create unbreakable ice from water vapor present in the air is like crazy powerful. He can create virtually any kind of physical structure almost instantaneously. He can use ice to repair damage to his body, he can freeze the water molecules inside another living person, and he can convert himself into vapor. Writer Mike Carey has said, Iceman is in an elite class of Omega level mutants, given how he can literally influence the ecosystem of the entire world. Now, while he's always had, yeah, a relatively large presence in the comics, thanks to his status as a founding member of the team, it almost seemed like we kind of forgot about him in the Ultimate Marvel universe. Sure, he's there, but he maintained this ambivalence that, while it made him the relatable character on the team, I just kind of felt like they made his stunning showings of raw power feel understated. Like, his potential needed to be tapped at some point, but then it felt like he was kind of forgotten. Much like his powers, Ultimate Iceman's potential as a character was consistently hinted at without ever being fully fleshed out. Havok, otherwise known as Alexander Summers, is the younger brother of Cyclops, but I think he should be the one getting all the big time attention. He can absorb and store cosmic energy in his body, which he can then emit as a destructive plasma blast. However, he can't freely control the path of the attack unless wearing a containment suit designed for him specifically. With his power, Havok is practically immune to heat and radiation, and can even attain flight by directing his energy emanation properly. Although considered to be at par or even more powerful than Cyclops, he's never had the kind of popularity that Buddy with the laser eyes has. Darwin is a character we've already seen get some big screen love. We saw him in X-Men First Class back in 2011 as part of the mutants that were recruited by a young Charles Xavier to go against the Hellfire Club. Darwin's power is instantaneous adaptation, which allows him to adapt to any kind of environment, any situation, any attack, which makes him one of the most durable mutants out there, with the capability of overcoming all kinds of hardships he comes across. But on screen, he was kind of a quick fatality. I don't know, but I think his power was meant to counter something like that. We all know and love Wolverine, the big guy with the crazy claws. He's kind of been like the big mascot for the X-Men franchise. But you gotta look at his son, Daken. Daken is Wolverine's son with his deceased Japanese wife, Itsu, who was killed with Daken still in her womb, who survived all of this because of his regenerative capabilities. He kinda grew up to hate and blame Wolverine for everything, and started as his antagonist before coming around. His powers are pretty similar to his dad. The crazy retractable claws, the regenerative powers, the senses. But one thing that sets him apart is his ability to control the pheromones of others, so he can manipulate the emotions and the thought processes of everybody. So cool! I see we're all fans of mutants here. Well, here are some more folks that have powers that I don't think you should underestimate if you know what's good for you. One of Marvel's most prominent young X-Men is Genesis, the clone of one of the team's greatest enemies. Being a clone of Apocalypse, has total control over the molecular structure of his own body, enabling this little guy to alter his form at will. He's able to transform his limbs into various weapons and equipment, such as a lot of sharp things and things you can bludgeon with for combat. You can also get rocket boots for flight. Speaking of transformative powers, he's able to alter his body to change in size. He can become extremely malleable, he can elongate his limbs to lengths similar to Mr. Fantastic. Genesis can regenerate from serious injury. Remember when he got gashed by Daken's claws? Also, he can adjust his body to apparently any disease or environment at will, and sometimes subconsciously. So he was given an inkling of his parental figure's celestial force to strengthen their bond as father and son, and his control over such is not to the level of his donor, but he can utilize it to a marginal extent, beyond just defensive batteries. At the end of the day, Evan has the potential for virtually any conceivable superhuman power, having once showcased fire or plasma breath. So where is he now? What are we doing with him? Well, in New Mutants they did mention that he wasn't resurrected, because at the time, no, we don't resurrect clones. However, that same storyline saw the Five object and just start resurrecting clones with unique identities. So they were like, yeah, we brought back Gabby Kinney, Scout, Honey Badger, and the Five did mention Evan by name in their reasons for doing these resurrections. So is he coming back? Maybe? Possibly. I think he should. Elixir might not be as popular or well known as favorites like Wolverine and Beast, but he doesn't really mind. Technically, he's way more powerful than either of them. The Omega level mutant has the ability to heal just about any condition while in his golden form, both in himself and in others. He even has the ability to cure the devastating anti-mutant legacy virus. He can also cause painful boils, crazy tumors. He can also kill somebody by touching them, which, it's okay, I don't need a hug. Banshee is one of the older X-Men, both in terms of his age and when he was introduced in the comics, and he has the ability to fly and unleash punishing sonic screams that can disable his enemy's hearing. And once again, when turned up to an 11, his scream can flat out liquefy you. Along with Thunderbird, Sean Cassidy was one of the first of the all-new, all-different X-Men, although he had technically earlier encountered the team as a villain, but he was too much of a sweetheart to remain a villain for long, and eventually joined the team, turning on and helping to fight his cousin, Black Tom Cassidy, and his pal, the Juggernaut. Sean was somewhat depowered here and there, but remained an important member of the X family, spending much of his time with Moira McTaggart on Moira Island. Also, his daughter Siren eventually joined the fold, after a start in supervillainy of course, because like father, like daughter. One of the few positively portrayed Muslim characters in the comic book world, Dust is a young woman with the mutant power to turn into sand, which at the beginning you're like, okay, what does sand do? Well, let's see. She can turn into a sandstorm and then scrape all the flesh from her enemies' bodies. Yeah, I don't want to underestimate that. A number of superheroes have the ability to teleport through space, so that's not what makes Magik special. No, what makes her special is the ability to teleport through both time and space. And you know, her powers as a sorceress. Oh, and her magic armor, and her ability to form psionic shields, and her creation of the soul sword. I could go on and on forever, but I think I've made my point. A relatively more recent addition to the Uncanny X-Men, Oya has the ability to manipulate the flow of heat, which means she can create fire in one place while simultaneously creating ice in another, with one of her eyes glowing ice blue and the other glowing fire orange. Sadly, the first time she uses her powers, her village burns down, so as a result, she is branded as a witch, her family is killed, and being a strongly religious character, she believes she's a monster, that her powers are blasphemy. But they're absolutely incredible, and accidents happen. While we don't know too much about Sage's true origins, and I want to know more, we do know a lot about her incredible powers. Simply put, she is a super genius, with a brain more powerful than any computer in the world. She can come up with the perfect plan in an instant, learn just about any skill, and engage in telepathy. She can even read another mutant's genetic code, and at great personal risk, allow her body to evolve similarly. Like, that is so cool. Eva Bell is also a fairly new addition to the greater X-Men universe. She made her first appearance in the all-new X-Men in 2013. She was arguably the most fascinating new mutant created by Brian Michael Bendis during his time writing X-Men books. She had all the trappings of the typical manic pixie dream girl. She was smart, snarky, beautiful, into cool music. And while her power set was not clearly defined when Cyclops first appeared to recruit her for his new team, she would later surprise readers and her fellow teammates. The time-traveling Eva Bell is one of the most powerful mutants the X-Men have ever encountered. Taking up the codename Tempest, Eva utilizes her mutant power of chronokinesis, the ability to create time bubbles and travel through timelines and alternate realities in an almost Omega-level capacity. During a two-part story arc in the pages of Uncanny X-Men and Annual 1 and All New X-Men Annual 1, Eva travels through different timelines, meeting the team from the series X-Men 2099, the Rawhide Kid, and a myriad of other characters who operate outside and within Marvel's main Earth 616 timeline. Eva goes on to experience years while in this time shift, going as far as to fall in love and give birth before finding herself back at the point from where she began her journey. Like, for most characters, all this power would have driven them mad, but Tempest only grew stronger. Monet, Yvette, Clarice, Maria, Therese, Saint Croix, that's a mouthful, or M for short, comes from an extremely wealthy aristocratic family, if you couldn't tell, and doesn't really have a lot of chill when it comes to wearing this fact on her sleeve, like literally. She loves designer brands, she's gorgeous, she's like a model, but don't let that whole appearance fool you. She is one of the most physically strong X-Men. She possesses superhuman speed, strength, reflexes, vision, and hearing. She's also got supersonic flight, telekinesis, telepathy, healing. Oh, and by the way, genius level intellect. Basically, she is almost perfect in every conceivable way, kind of like Mary Poppins. She is as close to a Superman that the X-Men have. Granted, this near perfection is not without faults, but those faults make her so tough. She's got some siblings, and they're not so beautiful or well put together. As a matter of fact, her brother Marius is kind of like her biggest foil. During the criminally underrated run on Generation X, M merged with her brother as M-Plate, but after a confrontation, M was able to escape her parasitic brother's grasp and return to her old self. So the battle pretty much solidified that there may not be another villain that could give her a run for her money, which makes her an incredible superhero. Poor Doug Ramsay never stood a chance. As the mutant Cypher, he was often cited as the least popular member of the New Mutants. Artists hated to draw him because his power was just understanding and translating any language. Clever writers did use this to great effect, especially as Cypher became more involved, but the fandom at large really was like, he's C-list, unless he's merged with his alien buddy, Warlock. When it came to combat, there wasn't much for him to do other than to take cover and hope his teammates kept everything at bay. Unless the New Mutants were battling a group of experts during trivia night, Doug wasn't really much use. Eventually, after a decent amount of fan and creator outcry, Cypher met his demise in New Mutants issue 60, but that wasn't the end for this human Rosetta Stone. During the Necroshade storyline, it got to the point where Doug was actually resurrected through the transmode virus and had a better understanding of his mutant power, despite being dead for a couple of decades. So when Doug arrives at the doorstep of his old New Mutant teammates, he's met with a mix of open arms and trepidation. The reunion is brief and anything but sweet, and he takes out his entire team in hand-to-hand combat. Turns out that aside from spoken and written language, Doug can read body language, and then he uses this to turn the attacks of his former teammates against them. Basically, he fights like Neo from the Matrix, and it looks so cool, and also like, it's okay, I like you, I've always liked you.